It's my second year of electrical engineering in university. I am sitting in a lecture room with 100 other guys and a few girls, and we're all staring at the professor at the front, writing. He's writing and drawing on the chalkboard about microelectronics. And about 30 minutes into the lecture, this is about halfway, right before midterm, so almost halfway through the course, the guy in front of me turns to the guy next to him and says, "Yo, it's not just me, right? It's not just me who doesn't understand a word he's saying, right?" And at that point, I was like, "Oh, thank God, I'm not the only one," because I didn't understand anything the professor was talking about from day one. I didn't even know what question to ask because I was so lost that I didn't even know where to begin. So this microelectronics class was brutal, and it wasn't even the only class that was so difficult. There was this calculus class where the professor on day one, the first lecture, he says, and he's a math professor. He's not even an engineering professor. He says this engineering math course is actually 4 math courses combined into one. And those 4 math courses, math majors take them over the course of 2 years. But we're compressing all the important materials from those courses and put it into this one engineering final calculus course. So he said, do not take it lightly. Don't leave things until the last minute. You won't get it done because you won't understand it. Do the assignments early so that you ask for help early on, because this is no joke. And so that was 2 of, even some other courses were difficult too, but those were the most difficult of that term. This term the terms are split into A and B. So second year is 2A and 2B, right? This term was 2B, and it was known as the hardest term in engineering for at least the ECE students, electrical and computer engineering students. So it was considered to be or not to be because so many students failed. After the first term, where a lot of students fail, a lot of students fail the most in 2B. And oh my God, this is the term where I said, okay, in the previous 3 terms, first year and the beginning of second year, I didn't take it completely seriously. Yes, I was, studying and getting assignments done and trying to survive in engineering, but I didn't give it my 100%, right? I was operating maybe at 70-80% of my effort. The rest of the time, I'd be relaxing a bit, maybe watching some movies or YouTube or what have you. But this term, I said, okay, I'm gonna do the best possible amount of studying and working towards getting the highest grade that I can. And so my best friend at the time and I in university, my university best friend, we would study every day for hours just working on the assignments. Like, I'll just tell you a snapshot of our week. On a Friday, for engineering classes start from 8:30 in the morning. Lectures or labs start at 8:30 in the morning all the way to about 5:30. And when the class ended at 5:30, most students, I think the last class was actually calculus, so we would get our assignment for the week that is due the next Friday for the next class, right? Everyone's just running home or back to their dorm rooms, and they're gonna relax because it's Friday night. But my friend and I, and there are some really studious students who also did what we did, but they did it by themselves. My friend and I would immediately tackle the assignment as soon as we got it and spent 2 hours on it trying to flesh out what we could understand and what we couldn't. And whatever we couldn't, we would go immediately to the TA the math TA, and we would ask, okay, how do we go about from here? And we would ask him all these questions from all the 10 different math questions that we had. So that was our Friday. It was math assignment day, and we'd try to get it mostly done by that night or the next day, if we could. Although it was impossible to get it all done because the questions were just absolutely difficult. Some of them, it seemed impossible for us. So that's just a Friday. We were just stuck in study rooms, going for a break and eating Subway sandwiches. That was the cheapest meal. I remember back then, this was like 2010, 2011. Subway sandwiches, a half sandwich was $3.50 Canadian cents. $3.50 plus tax. So it was, I don't know, about $4, maybe just over. So that was the cheapest meal. I'd get an egg salad sandwich. That was the cheapest sandwich. And then we would take it and go back to the study room, and we'd just be studying or working on assignments and labs every night, weekday nights, weekend nights, whenever we had the chance. And lo and behold, that was the best score that I ever got that term. I scored an 89% on 2B, the most difficult term, and 89% in engineering, like the average is just above failing at maybe about 68%. Yeah, it was about 68%. Failing is 65, so passing is 65. So if you get 64.9, that's a fail. You failed the term, you have to redo the term again. So I got an 89%, and I was in the top 10 students out of 110 students or so. And even before I got the results, I knew I did well, right? Because I knew the exam, I solved most of the questions. I did pretty well. So so I was being driven home with all my stuff from the dorm rooms from Waterloo back to my home in Toronto. It's about an hour drive, and my mom is driving me home with all the stuff in the car, like to move back home for 4 months for the co-op term. Co-op term is just a work term for 4 months. So school term is done, and now the work term begins. So I'm being driven home by my mom at night. It's like 9 o'clock and dark, and I'm in the passenger seat, and I'm telling her, oh, I think I did well, and I kept sighing. I'd be like, and I just kept doing it. I wasn't intentionally doing it. It just kept coming out. And I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop sighing again and again. I was like, this is really weird. I've never had this happen before. And I kept, while I was talking, just kept breathing. And my mom said, I think you were really stressed out, and now you're just finally relieved, and you can finally let go. So you're just letting it all out, all the tension that was pent up. And I think she was absolutely right. I just kept sighing to the majority of the hour drive back home from Waterloo to Toronto. And I was like, whoa, I guess I was really so stressed. And when I look back at that term, even days after or weeks after, I realized that was my most miserable term so far. I put 100% or as close to 100% as possible into getting the highest grades. And yet, I was absolutely miserable the whole term. Not yet. Because of that, I was absolutely the most miserable that term out of the 2 years that I've been at that university. And I realized it's not worth it. It's not worth giving 100% and being that miserable, and so stressed and just absolutely relieved afterwards. It wasn't worth it because it was so much more effort than getting a passing grade, which is still a lot of effort, but it was just that much more effort to get the highest score that I could. And so I realized I don't want to keep doing this. I want to balance my life and live a more just a more happier life. First, I had more fun in first year when I was, playing some Super Smash Brothers Melee with some floor mates, and just hanging out with, floor mates a bit more and having some fun here and there. Like, I enjoyed first year more than this 2B term, or even the first term of 2A term. It was better than 2B when I was just so focused. So I said, you know what? I'm not gonna do this again. I'm not gonna give it my 100%. I'm going to focus on getting a passing grade, but I'm not going to just focus on studies. So that's what I did, and I was focused on getting a passing grade from then on. And the thing that I realized when I finally got the chance to do some electives, and engineering, you really don't get a lot of electives, is that I really hated most engineering courses. When the professor is just in front of me talking about whether it's algorithms or whether it's microelectronics or any types of math, linear algebra, calculus, I didn't care about what they were teaching. I was like, why am I learning this? I don't want to learn this. I don't care about this. And in high school, the goal is, oh, well, if you want to get into a good program, you have to take this course. And if you want to get accepted, you have to do well in these courses. So that's why you have to take these courses, and then you take those courses. But in engineering, like, I chose electrical engineering, right? And the reason I chose it is because, well, in high school, my math grades and physics grades were higher than most people, and so the career counselor said, well, your math and physics scores are high, so why don't you go into engineering? That's a solid career choice, since you don't know what you want to do. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I want to do, so yeah, safe choice, engineering. And my dad was like, oh yeah, I did engineering too, so engineering's a good choice. You can branch off into business if you want later, like get an MBA later, or whatever you want to do. You can branch off and do something else that you want later. But it gives you options. Engineering gives you options. It's like, okay, I'll do it. And that's why I chose it. And yeah, it's just, when I was in those classes, I hated it more and more and more as the years went on. And in third year, there was a professor giving a talk, not a normal engineering professor giving a lecture. This guy was named Larry Smith. If you want to look him up, he has a TED Talk with over 4 million views called "Why You Will Fail to Have a Great Career." It's a very fun talk, or at least very engaging talk. I've watched it multiple times, but this guy who helps students with their careers or getting into their careers, Larry Smith, he was giving this talk about the life after university. And at the end, he said, I'll take a few questions. Do you have any questions? And so I raised my hand, and he said, you at the back? And I said, I'm in third year engineering now, and I really hate it, and I don't think I even want to do an engineering job after I graduate. So is it better for me to drop out and take something else now, or should I bite the bullet and finish engineering for now? And Larry Smith is an economics professor, but he thought for a bit, and he said, well, if I'm being blunt, he has a high voice. He's like, well, if I'm being blunt, engineering, it's known just by most people. If you have an engineering degree, they think, oh, well, at least this guy must be pretty smart. And so it has that reputation. So if you have an engineering degree, there's only upside and nothing bad about that. And if you were in first year, maybe second year, I would say drop out and do something that explore what you might suit you better. But you are in third year now, so I would say finish your degree, and then afterwards you can do what you want. And so I thought that was good advice. That made total sense, 100%. So I bit the bullet and I finished this 5-year program at the University of Waterloo in Canada. But yeah, those engineering years, oh God, I do not look back fondly. Of course, there were fun moments in those 5 years of, as I said, playing Smash Bros. Melee with some floor mates, or some Toastmaster activities that I did where I was becoming better at public speaking. I was so nervous at the beginning when I first stepped up, and then I got more comfortable as I did it term after term, year after year. Stuff like that. I had fun with my friend at university, eating at his place. He would give me, I had back pain, and the two brothers, they would give me back massages. I was like, holy shit, I'm getting treated like a free $100 massage therapy service. It was just really good massages. And the two brothers had different massage styles. One was like more pinpoint and accurate, and one was more general surface, and I would get both, and I'd be like, wow, they're good in their different ways. And I just like moments like that, where I look back on university and I think, yeah, those were good times. I had moments of gratitude here and there throughout university, but all in all, as an overall arc, I hated electrical engineering. It was an absolute drag. Why am I learning this? I don't care about this. I not only don't care about this, I hate learning stuff like this. Like, I have no interest, and I'm being forced to learn this. I don't want to do this. That's what I was thinking for a lot of courses. So, I mean, some were a bit interesting, like learning about power lines, transmission lines, the math behind that. That one wasn't too difficult. It was one of the easier courses. I kind of chose those power electives on the fourth year. Those were interesting to learn how some things work on a big scale, and when it's not that difficult, it's a bit more fun, right? Rather than learning like microelectronic circuits, which was so damn difficult. So. But yeah, all in all, I hated majority of the engineering courses. So I'm getting repetitious here, but if you are thinking of going into engineering, I just saw Mr. 51-year-old Japanese man, now that he turned 51, on YouTube, wondering if he should get an engineering degree because it seems like engineers are in need in Japan. And it could be a good career option, even though he's 51 years old, to go to engineering school and then get an engineering job after, because he's in marketing right now. And I left a comment saying it's not easy, it's really difficult, and first of all, they teach you a lot of shit that you'll never use at the workforce. there you learn more on the job than you do, like, so the stuff that you learn in school you barely use in engineering jobs. It's very specific. You need this one course for this one job, for example. That's how it works. But all in all, maybe you don't even need any of those courses to get some of the engineering jobs. But the courses are hard. The engineering courses are hard, and I said it could make him more miserable. If during engineering school it could make him more miserable, but it could be worth it. I said it could be worth it if you get a job that is worth it for you. I don't know, but just know that engineering school is not for everyone. If you hate the material like I did, which I think a lot of people do, then engineering is probably not for you. So that was a long-winded way of saying think twice before you sign up for engineering school. I mean, if I had to do university again and I had to do an undergrad again, I would not choose electrical engineering again. I would not choose any of the engineering degrees. God damn. Not to say that all the engineers feel the way I do. I have multiple engineering friends, I guess, who are glad who took engineering school because they are working engineering jobs, and they're doing just fine. So my degree is sitting right there on top of my dresser, and that's proof that I went through some years of hell. And then I would go through different years of hell because of my bipolar disorder. And that was worse than the engineering hell, for sure. But the engineering school was still a version of hell. It's a version of hell. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So, yeah, think twice before joining engineering. If at this point, I don't know how many people are sticking around at this point, but maybe I'll talk a little bit more here and there of things I remember from engineering school or university or high school. I realize I have some stories that, even with a terrible memory that I have such a terrible memory, but I remember bits and pieces here and there, so I might share some more of my high school, university, or maybe even post-university days. Realize this is something that I could talk about. But by the way, bit of backstory. It took a long time, like an hour of thinking how to shape my story. I've been reading the book Storyworthy, trying to become a better storyteller. But at the same time, I didn't want to craft it like an essay and then give you like almost scripted version of a story. I wanted it to be a bit organic, and I unfold as I tell. So I just thought of a couple points I wanted to say, and then just hit record and went through it. So I'm trying to become a better storyteller. I'll keep revisiting the book Storyworthy by Matthew Dix to become a better storyteller. I hope that was engaging enough for you. I guess if you're all the way here, then maybe you're watching because of familiarity or because you know me, or maybe anyways, but I hope it was engaging enough for you and not a bore. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Here comes the pet montage. 1% better every day, baby.
I'll take one of you.
I'm reading this book Storyworthy, revisiting it, and look came up to check out what I'm doing. I could look at the book, and he's playing with biting the... Oh, don't bite. Muffin. Have to see what's up. Happiness is having Mochi and Tigger on my lap. Cuties.